and thank you everyone for joining today. You know, we've got a great topic here. Regardless if this is your first learning management system or you have a 10-year-old legacy LMS you're trying to replace, you still need to build a strong business case. So over the next 45 minutes or so, we're going to share industry data, best practices. We'll provide some tools that we've seen be successful in positioning a new learning management system. So the plan is we're going to load you up with some data. You'll be able to sit down at an executive level, articulate your case, and get your technology approved. So as far as an agenda, topics for today's webinar, so first we're going to start with getting funding and senior level support. Support's very important. You need to be able to speak the business language. Leadership is certainly looking for certain things that they want to grasp from the new technology. And then also you need to understand spend, so we'll spend some time there. The 4 crucial steps before asking for the money. So what pain are you going to take away? How are you going to demonstrate value by going to a new system? Also, then you'll have to demonstrate the real business impact of moving to a modern learning management system. You know, where are the system gains? Is this just cosmetic, a new interface, or are we actually gaining something and benefits by going to a new platform? So we'll share some data we've seen across organizations as well. And then we're going to go to creating persuasive ROI calculations. You need to be able to give them the numbers. So unfortunately, your project is going to wind up in Excel at some point. So there's lots of different ways to calculate it. But we're going to keep it real simple today. We'll share a couple of approaches for both internal and external training that we've seen work. And also then we're going to open up for Q&A, but during that process we'll also share access to all type of resources and tools so that you can build your business case for your LMS. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Expertus, welcome. And we do these webinars about every 2 months or so. So our goal is to help people in the industry address current challenges. So on the Expertus side, we are a learning technology services company. We've been around since 1998, and we've run global learning logistics and learning operations and administration in about 30 different countries. Also, we have a consulting branch to provide strong governance, best practices, even help with adoption marketing. Now, on the LMS side of the house, we were the first LMS built in the cloud for the cloud. So ExpertusONE's been extremely successful in the market by leading in mobile, commerce, and even integrations. And we've won every major award that is available in the learning space. In fact, we've been ranked the #1 learning management system by eLearning 24/7. Today, we have offices in the US, Europe, and Asia as well. So let's go ahead and jump into our topic, though. Getting funding and senior level support. It's critical. Project isn't going anywhere without their support, and people like facts, so let's jump into the facts. Now, recent studies have shown that a new or replacement LMS platform, they are needed. Okay, 60% of LMS managers are dissatisfied with their current LMS. So, and this usually has to do with the ease of use, reporting and analytics being difficult to pull out, integration with other systems or advanced features. So you're not alone. Okay. The other fact is 37% of learning organizations are providing external training now as a strategic priority. So this is the biggest growth available in the industry. So this would be your partner, your customer, your distributor training. Today now, all of those groups can have one learning management system for all audiences. If you have these audiences, your business case just got a lot easier. Okay. The other thing people like to do is look at trends and facts, and this is a really good one. By 2019, video will replace text as the #1 way people learn in corporations. So, companies cannot get out learning quickly enough, and long instructional design processes and things like that don't work. Today, best practice, shoot a video, put it onto the learning management system, get that information out there. That's what we're seeing happening a lot. And your Millennium users are used to this. So, it's very easy to implement, and that's all the good news. So now we have the bad news. Okay, most LMS projects simply don't happen. And it's not a lack of need or functionality. It's really got to do with a lack of ability to build a strong business case. Senior management gets these business cases and proposals all the time. So there's key things they're looking for and usually trying to align it with numbers. If you're in the L&D department, maybe you do one of these every 3 to 5 years, so you may feel like you're at a disadvantage. The other key is the understanding of true business impact. How are you able to generate revenue? How are you able to reduce an operating cost? Now, you can't expect management to figure this out because they don't know all the variables involved. So you got a little bit of work on your hands. So let's see if we can help you here. One of the things that we like to do is have folks focus on corporate spend. So let's spend a minute there on learning spend. And the first thing is you need to know or at least understand how your corporate learning spend works. Now, this slide here, Burson Deloitte study done a few years ago, is really valuable. If you look at the pie chart, we found this to be pretty accurate in dealing with customers and some of our consulting projects. So I encourage you to really understand data points within your organization. We could spend a day on this, but I just want to cover a few that probably jump out to you. Now, if you look at this red area here, this is actually your running technology spend here. And you see learning technology makes up about 8% of that, but you also have something called training operations. That's your administration, your logistics, all of those kind of things, and learner support, another 4%. So if you look at that bucket, you've got 23% of corporate spend falling into that particular category. A few others. Now, if you look at the live delivery, this is your biggest spend here. A lot of human capital. These are your trainers, internal, external, all of that kind of thing. But they're making up 21% of your live delivery if you're a traditional organization in the study. Content, 18%, big spend there. We'll talk more on this later, but 18% of the spend in corporations is simply on content itself. Okay. Now, there's a few others just worth calling out. This learning management spend here, reporting, 5%. That may surprise you, but if you're a compliance-driven organization or you've done custom reports on old legacy systems, it's not uncommon for one report to cost $10,000 or $15,000. So you can see how all of this works together when you start looking at your use case. So you may be asked a very simple question. What does this new learning management system cost? Well, you may want to provide an answer, but also be able to show other areas that you can impact. So we'll get further into that. But for right now, let's talk about key considerations for building your case. So in order to build a business case, you should have qualitative as well as quantitative analysis. Now, I recommend, find out if your company has a template in order to build your business case. Often, especially large organizations, obviously do. So you want to follow that flow. During that process, though, you'll want to ask a lot of questions and then answer them. So what's wrong with the current learning strategy? Can it be fixed? Is the new technology going to fix what's broken? What groups are going to benefit from this? All these kinds of things. I also recommend that you share your view of the current system and don't be afraid to say what is broken. Okay? And then know all aspects of spend. Okay? If you're going to do this, there may be some IT chargeback involved that you're not calculating, things like that. Now, to get your business case through, it's always best not to go alone. Get help where you can. So an executive sponsor will really help. They help in knowing how to get funding. They can address any gaps between the business and the learning. Usually they're very knowledgeable on these approval processes. Some people are just really good at it, and so you want to align yourself with them as well. At this point, then you can start to build your internal team. So you want to get representation from IT, from the business leaders. It's also not a bad idea to start talking to procurement. How does contracting work? All that kind of thing. How does the purchasing process go? Probably the biggest area that gets misaligned here is determining a timeline. So one of the things you want to do is include time for requirements gathering, for demonstration from vendors. Contracting usually takes longer than people anticipate. Implementation, go live, other things can come into play. Should I do a pilot before I go live? Be realistic here, and I encourage you to take into account your culture and your decision-making process. Decisions by committee take much longer, so calculate that in. Then also you're going to develop a change management strategy. So the current to future state, okay, do I do a pilot and do I share those results? Okay. Leadership level communications will help, so get endorsement from the leadership, drives adoption. And you'll also want to have a communication strategy. So you need to articulate, share the need for the technology investment with key stakeholders. And this is really an ongoing process, not a one-time event that needs to be revisited. Okay? You'll need their help later on. Okay. So let's go ahead and get into a few other areas that are critical for your business case. One is before you ask for the money, you still have some work to do. And there's really 4 critical steps before you do that. One, again, is take away the pain. So you want to identify any key business challenges that you're going to help resolve. So is that sales growth, development, is it retention, those kind of areas. Demonstrate value. How are you going to have substantial ROI from this investment? Also, you want to meet business goals, promote growth, decrease costs. And lastly, again, give them the numbers. You need to be specific on upfront costs and calculate the benefits. So let's take a look at each one of these. Okay, taking away the pain. What do you believe can be accomplished with a modern learning management system? So you can really have these fall into about 6 different buckets. One, hard cost savings. And this can be something as simple as travel, but also it can be how much instructor-led training can we take and convert to virtual instructor-led training, like this WebEx meeting? Or can we take it to e-learning? Those kinds of things. Another big one is the elimination of multiple systems. We routinely hear companies having 10 or more learning management systems. And there's a few reasons for that. A lot of times they're global, decentralized, sales did their own thing, that kind of thing. It can be expensive, but also for the user, very confusing. So you have a real opportunity there to take away some pain there. By the way, the most we've heard up to date is a company with 17 learning management systems. So a lot of technology, a lot of cost associated with that. Retention. The question you're trying to answer is every time someone leaves the organization, what does it cost? And you can look at, there's all kinds of figures, and it can be 20% to 50% of their annual salary. But I encourage you to talk to your HR department and find out what that cost may be. And then how was training involved in any departures? Usually there's exit interviews, those kinds of things that will help you. Also, ramp-up time improvement. You know, with the modern LMS, you can have very prescriptive, laser-focused training programs with multiple learning modalities. So do you have the opportunity to take that ramp-up time from 30 days to 21 or some calculation like that? And what's the actual impact? Other areas, create a self-service model. Think like Amazon. You think of Amazon, you can find anything you want through one platform. Well, the LMS should operate the same way. Okay? Manual administration costs are way too taxing, so self-service model really works. Also, providing training at the point of need. So mobile learning works. You can use kiosks, iPads, mobile phones, things like that. So you really have the opportunity to not necessarily every time have to provide a classroom experience and what have you. Okay, another key area, demonstrate value. So you should always strive on how the modern LMS is going to improve the value in your business case. And there's a few different areas you can concentrate on. One is to leverage the built-in workflow. There's a lot of features within a modern learning management system. Will automate notifications, automatically assign learning, reminders. Even for the admin side of the house, you can clone complete curriculums now in minutes that used to really take hours to build. So you can factor all of that in. Also, usable reporting and data. Senior leadership needs to make business decisions. Legacy learning management systems don't report on all the data available to them. A modern one can capture all those results, and you can share those back. Also, tools that drive adoption. One of the biggest challenges that we see is people didn't know what they were supposed to take or how to find it. Okay, a lot of the modern learning management system features around, for instance, social analytics. You can have recommendations that take into account your job role and your past learning experiences, and then recommend training you might be interested in. There's also concepts like embeddable widgets where you market learning outside the LMS and put it into internet sites or into an email. And you basically make learning very easy to find and to consume. Other areas that really have gotten a lot of attention is behavioral change through gamification. You have the ability to increase training adoption, knowledge retention, even motivation using point system, badges, creating business intelligence type reward programs. Also, if you have a sales organization, I really strongly suggest you look into CRM integration. This will put the learning management system directly into your CRM system. So if you're using Salesforce, for instance, and you have that heads down sales crew, all their information is in there. They can access it from Salesforce, and all the reporting comes right out of that system as well. let's take a quick look here then at one of the areas that I think gets overlooked often, and that's meeting company business goals. So one of the things you want to do is that you want to ensure the learning management system is aligned with your organizational goals. We've kind of focused on the micro here early in the presentation. Let's take a look at the macro. And again, this is one that's often overlooked, but it's very available. So one of the things you want to do is understand your company business plan. Companies have 1, 3, 5-year plans, and they're generally very accessible. And they're really filled with compelling data. So if they mention things like, acquisition, merger, global expansion, new model, use of distribution channels, these are real opportunities for learning technologies. Okay. The other thing you want to find out is, what are your competitors doing? A few ways you can do that. Colleagues, case studies, awards, LinkedIn are all sources of this information. But what you're really trying to figure out is your competitors, what value do they put on training? Do they have a certification? Are they using a corporate university? Those kinds of things. If you're involved in if your company is doing new product launches, you've got some low-hanging fruit here, suggest you get involved in. A company may make a big bet or an all-in product launch, and it begs the question, how are folks getting trained? So you got a good opportunity there as well. Go back to the costs. You should be really looking at reducing support costs. A large percentage of help desk calls are training related. Learning logistics is another opportunity. Again, getting back into that built-in workflow. You also have the ability now to enhance analytics and create actionable data. Data is king right now, and execs cannot get enough of it. So you really have the opportunity to be proactive and supply data that helps them make business decisions. While you're there, impact customer satisfaction. Many organizations now are putting a lot of value on CSAT as a measurement today. So understanding how much value the company puts on it, and is there an opportunity to impact it. I think we've all gone to an Apple store or something like that, and you'll see lots of workshops. You'll have lots of videos available, tutorials, lots of support. Customer retention, satisfaction, critical to them, high value. Okay, so one of the things we want to do is give them the numbers, right? This is where we always kind of wind up. And so what we want to do today is really show you some ways companies have successfully demonstrated ROI. Okay. Now, I will tell you, you may need to see this and walk through it a couple times, especially if you're new to this kind of thing, but don't sweat it. We're making the tools available, and we'll cover the approach taken, and we can kind of go from there. So one of the things you want to do is use basic formulas. Estimated investment gains minus hard costs for the learning investments equals ROI. Very simple, okay? Also, you want to take a solid approach. One, know all the costs. Nobody likes surprises. So if you didn't really figure in what all is involved with implementation from the vendor, as well as maybe your internal staff, that's going to come back to bite you. Be realistic in your calculations. You really have a risk of losing credibility if a gain is not believable. So the next point, be conservative. You really want to err on the side of conservative. Now, one of the big ones that we see here is user count. People will say, well, we have 20,000 users in the organization. Don't build an assumption that everybody in the organization is going to be accessing the learning management system, or that they're going to be accessing it on a regular basis. So you got to kind of take those things into account. Also, before you go in, please do a quick review with finance or a manager. Just every organization is very different, so you may want to bounce off calculations, off some of those calculations off some colleagues, just to do a sanity check there. Okay, let's take a look at a couple examples here. And this first one is going to be a company, and they provided internal employee training only. So these are their employees. And again, we'll go over to the high level, and don't worry, we'll provide these calculators and things like that and additional details. But at least I think you'll get the concept of how this company approached this. So one of the things that they did is they said, okay, what is the annualized cost of a new learning management system? And it was based on 3 years out. And they said, okay, annually, it's going to cost us $65,000, and that includes the implementation as well as what they would call an annual usage fee. And that's generally based on the total number of users. Okay. And then what they did is they looked at their old system, and they said, we've got some real gaps here in our availability to provide this information. one of the penalties associated was what they call non-compliance penalties. So being a regulated company, they had penalties or fines because of having untrained employees, or they lacked documentation that people were actually trained. So they went back and they said, you know what, this is costing us about $81,000 per year in penalties. Is there an opportunity to affect that? So the next benefit that they actually went through was this blue section here. And this actually gets into the administration cost of the old system. Okay, so you have all of this compliance reporting and record keeping and things like that. So they had notifications, record keeping, they have to bundle it all up and provide it probably to some outside agency. So just that component alone, they were spending $900 hours on annually. Okay, plus then the administrative cost of about 1,100 hours managing enrollments, updating training records, all this kind of thing. So right here, just in these in this blue area, you're going to have $98K just spent on administration of the old system. Okay, now this third benefit that they positioned was what they call employee engagement. And this really focuses on impacting performance. This is around organizational effectiveness, employees knowing how to seek and apply knowledge and information. In a modern learning management system, they felt would do that through profile-based learning, through mobile, gamification, social and informal components that would allow that initiative to happen. So if you look at this area here in orange, you'll see that they had 2,000 employees with an annual cost of $49,200 each. Okay, so their total cost of employment was $98 million. Now what they actually said is, at minimum, we will increase productivity 1%. So what that actually does is provide an employee engagement benefit of $984,000. Okay, so what they did is they calculated out their ROI by taking the benefit, removing the penalties, the administration costs the old way, improving engagement, and then you divided it by your annual LMS cost. So what they actually do is they come out with this ROI factor of 19.2. So that means the return is 19 times the investment. Now, I know that was very quick and very high level, and but a few other things may jump out to you as you kind of go through this, and that's what happened with some of their leadership. And when you able to put all this data on one page, you get additional information. So they have, for instance, $98 million staffing costs. Now the ask for the learning management system, if you look up here, is only $65,000. Okay, so some leadership felt that this is a good investment anyways to maximize performance and to protect our $98 million spend in staffing. So you've got a number of different components there to help address the business case. We're going to go to the next one here. And this example is actually external sales impact. And what this company actually did is the sales department did their own justification for a learning management system. So this calculation is a little bit different. It's based on the sales organization addressing product sales and growth, and at the same time they charge for the training. So they've got a few different things going here, a few different variables. So for our purposes, let's go through this again. The cost kind of remains the same there. You've got your 3-year cost of your learning management system plus any kind of implementation there. And the way they measure benefit, additional product sales from increased adoption. So they are a $50 million sales organization that felt at minimum we could increase sales in products by 2%, which equals $1 million value there. Okay. The next component was training revenue from learner engagement. So this area here, they actually charge for training. Current revenue on that area was $400,000, and they felt that they could have a 20% increase in training revenues for the training that they actually sold. So that equals an $80,000 benefit. You're seeing, $1 million in sales, another $80,000 in the revenue itself associated with learning. Now this is where it really got interesting, because what they actually felt is on the administrative side of the house, they were way too heavy in the amount of manual work. So the administrative side of the house, they had 4 administrators with a loaded cost of $80,000 each, this orange section, okay, giving you a total cost of those employees of $320,000. Now they felt at minimum, just looking at workflow, processes, automation, that they could improve productivity by 25%, another $80,000 benefit there. Okay. So now if you look at the summary, the revenue increase, okay, annually. You look at the efficiency from the administrative side of the house, another 80,000 there, and then you take that out multiple years. Remember, your learning management system contracts have traditionally been 3 and 5 years, things like that. So what their ROI factor was 11.5. So and the investment paid off 11-fold to 1. Okay. So again, these are the kind of variables you want to look at as you build your business case. Everybody's case is a little bit different, but those are certainly things to take into account. Okay. Our next bit is really to take a look and demonstrate the real business impact of moving to a modern learning management system. And I promised you we would load you up with some data, and I encourage you to gather this information, and there's plenty of it available. But this study was done last year by Complete Marketing Solutions. And they surveyed over 600 organizations of various sizes and industries. And what they're actually asking or trying to find out is, what are your top training priorities going into 2016? And, it's very consistent in what we've seen here and earlier with our pie chart even, develop new content. Still, remember, on our pie chart, 18% of spend is on content. But also look then, enhance learner training adoption. Make it easier to find, easier to consume. Improve measurement or training ROI, right? Ironic that that's what this call is about, but you need to be able to display what is the training ROI. Also, you'll notice this big one jumps out. Transition more content from instructor-led to virtual training. Think back our pie chart. That was the biggest spend, 21% on facilitation. Okay. Integration with other systems, grow our customer and partner channels. So very consistent with what we were talking about earlier. Okay. Now the second component of this is they said, okay, within the learning technology, learning management system, what's the most important features? So, top organizations saw an opportunity to make sure that they're aligned, and not surprisingly, ease of use, top priority. Reporting and analytics, top priority. But now you start to see some other areas creeping up here. Mobile learning, for instance. Integration with other systems. So whether it's an HR system, a finance package, those kinds of things. Very top on the radar with what organizations are trying to do. So this alignment will help you with your business case because you're not alone. Again, don't go it alone. Okay. So one of the things that we wanted to talk about is the things that we've seen be successful with business cases for a modern learning management system and what they've really focused on. And here's some areas that I think would be very beneficial in having talked to a lot of the analysts and gotten this kind of feedback. But we've talked about this earlier, but number one, the untapped audiences. Again, you can have one learning management system for all these audiences, employees, customers, partners, distributors, contractors, and that experience can be very personalized based on a profile, and that's going to restrict them from certain catalog or content access or provide them access to it. Also, I suggest you think global. The modern LMS can support many languages and many features that just weren't simply available to you before. The other area is to take the learning to the user. Remember, number one priority that we've seen today is user experience in all these studies. So today there is really so many access points to get to the learning management system. You can do it through the LMS itself, the mobile applications, integration with Salesforce and portals and things like that. Also, you have the ability to drive adoption. Again, bringing training right to the doorstep through those embeddable widgets. The modern LMS can provide embeddable widgets so you can take your training outside your LMS and just put it right onto a partner or customer website, a SharePoint site, intranet, even an HR site. So really there's no reason somebody has to go seek out the LMS. You can bring the learning to them. Also, take into consideration current and future technology needs. Today the modern LMS can integrate with other platforms through APIs very, very easily. And these used to be expensive integrations that took months, and every time something changed, they had to be updated. Now it's something that be done very inexpensively and oftentimes done in-house by existing staff. The other area I think you should focus on is revenue generation commerce. This is a real opportunity to charge folks for training, and these are partners and certifications, things like that. Many companies are creating their own certifications and charging partners for the training. The modern LMS can run credit cards, it can provide discounts, it will know who you are and what kind of pricing you should have, and it even has an intuitive shopping cart. So back to our Amazon experience, if you can use Amazon, you can buy training right from the LMS. And then again, another key area is content at the point of need. The modern LMS really supports a variety of content, and the great news is it can reside in the cloud. In your business case, figure in a content strategy. If you're looking to carve into that 18% content spend, you can now do it through a borrow, buy, build strategy. So borrow, the modern LMS supports videos. You can simply paste in a YouTube link if you wanted to, but it also supports PDFs, Word documents, PowerPoints, anything like this. It doesn't have to go through a big instructional design process. Also, the buy strategy. Cloud-based video content is available from lynda.com, BizLibrary, on most business topics. So, page turning e-learning is really going away. You can have some very engaging, quick hit content as well. And then if you are going to build, though, today you can build once and run anywhere. So the modern LMS supports HTML5, responsive design, so you can run at your desktop or on a mobile device. There's great tools available for easy authoring as well, so you don't have to go through a big coding process. One thing then, another key in your business case is you have to think through, what if we do nothing? So the last LMS business case is just doing nothing, and look at your business case from every angle and think, if we don't do anything, what is the risk here? And are we willing to live with dissatisfaction? Or maybe it's because these are only internal users, we'll just go about it as we have. But I think it's important to call out and take that look into your strategy, not only where you're at with a new technology, but also what if you stay on the same technology as well. Okay. I'm going to wrap up here and we'll get into some questions and answers and things like that. But one of the things that Expertus has is a lot of additional resources available for you. We've covered a lot of ground today. And as I mentioned at the beginning, we're really trying to help you out, people in our industry. So if you go to our resource page, take a look. I have my learning management system white paper on there, which gives much, much more detail than covered in this call that would help you build your business case. Also, load yourself up. There's case studies. These are very short and concise and probably cover a lot of the same challenges that you experienced. So they have a lot of numbers, outcomes, and results. So I encourage you to take a look at those. And there's also an RFP template. And this RFP template has hundreds of questions. We don't know what we don't know, right? So we want to make sure you're asking about integrations, gamification, reporting. So it's got just basically a question pool so that you can create a proper RFP. And by the way, you'll look really smart if you use that as well. Okay. So one last thought before opening up for Q&A. Everyone's situation is different. So if you're trying to build your business case and you have a question or you want to chat, shoot me an email at thomasb@expertus.com. That's thomasb@expertus.com. Happy to help you out. We've got a lot of resources available. Might not be on our webpage, but we're happy to help you out any way we can. With that, Gordon, I think we're ready to open it up for some question and answers.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, Tom. So if you do have a question right now, go ahead and enter it in the question box. We will have a time for certainly for a few questions at least. But before we get to your questions, I wanted to let everybody know that when you exit GoToWebinar today, a brief survey will pop up. We encourage you to let us know what you liked about the webinar, or let us know what we can do to improve it. Also, if you'd like to reach out to us, as Tom said, directly or schedule some time with Tom, please contact us, info@expertus.com, or give us a call at the toll-free number on the screen. So let's get started with a couple of questions. We do have a few minutes, and we have some questions coming in. So the first question is, let's see, to get approval for our LMS, I will only get 30 minutes to present to our executives. With such a short amount of time, what information should I focus on?
Yeah. So remember, the goal is isn't to present your business case end to end and make sure you covered everything we talked about. The business case is really a tool. The goal is to get your project approved. So once you've completed your business case, there's going to be some components that are really noteworthy. I guarantee you that. So you'll want to create an executive summary PowerPoint at best. But I do recommend that excuse me, you spend probably 5 to 10 minutes in a demo of the product and make it very tailored for the executives. You know, you don't want to say where the product's at from an engineering standpoint and all those kinds of things. You really want to wear different hats and show the end user experience, how managers interact with the system, show your mobile, pass around your iPhone, but also set up some relevant data to them and make sure you cover what's in it for me. Show them reporting data that doesn't exist in your systems today, and you'll get a lot of support that way.
Okay. Thanks, Tom. And we have gotten a couple of questions already about, are these slides going to be available? And we are going to send everybody out a link to the recording for this webinar, so you'll get that. And also, what I think we'll do as well is send out Tom's white paper that he wrote about this topic, which goes into a lot more detail, has those templates that have been used successfully in the past that we can include. So just let you all know you'll be getting that. So next question is, what is the best format to present the business case? So what format works the best to present it in?
Yeah, I think that gets back to the earlier question. You know, you'll want to put all your findings in one large document and, you know, have that available with an executive summary, and whether that's generally done in Word and, you know, with, you know, some Excel data in there as well. But it gets back to when you do get the chance to present to the team, take your audience into consideration. Your executive team is not going to want to go through these, you know, points point by point, but make sure you have the supporting data there so that when you call them out, if you're questioned, you have the availability to do that. But yeah, most of these actually end up as PowerPoints.
Yeah, I will, to add to that, Tom, you know, each company is different. Each company expects, you know, a certain type of format. And I know one company, the longest we've ever seen, had a 60-page, pretty much 60 pages of text on just why it's a good investment to go with ExpertusONE. So that's a record, but I don't think a whole lot of people are going into that kind of detail. So let me find your next question here, Tom. Let's see. Okay. Next question is, do you have a template for RFI for those that aren't quite ready for the RFP process? Not quite a business case question, but talking about RFPs.
You know, that brings up a really strong point. So if you want to go to our RFP template, you can certainly take that, and there is some high-level questions in there as well, and you can pull from those. And I recommend that, but I think it's good, and you know, you should really also, you know, when you work with vendors and things like that, see if they can help you. Because if you're saying, you know, we're not ready for RFP yet, but you know, what kind of information is usually used to get compelling data through so that we can get approval for our project, and then also what are the different steps? I tell people all the time, you know, don't go alone. So you know, ask for help either from your vendor, your IT department, things like that.
Okay, thank you, Tom. All right, next question is, we're getting a lot of resistance from our internal IT department about a new LMS platform because of their bandwidth issues. Any suggestions on that?
That's a great one. Yeah, you did such a great job with your business case. You got your approval, and then you go to do it, and all of a sudden your IT department tells you they don't have bandwidth, right? Okay, so, and this happens. So the one thing I would say is, you know, work with your IT department, but the resistance may be from they don't know what they're signing up for. So you may want to draft a basic implementation project plan and show their involvement as it is, and it may be minimal, or you may need a lot of help from them, whether it's single sign-on, HR integrations, historical data migration, testing. But really, you know, your vendor should be able to give you a fixed plan that would show their involvement, customer roles, responsibilities, things like that.
Okay, sounds good. All right, we have time for one or maybe two questions. Our company wants a mobile learning strategy, but we have no way of knowing if a user would be taking training at a PC or on a mobile device. How would this impact the cost in the business case? How would you show the cost in the business case?
Okay, I see the question. The question is really, you know, if they're going to take it on a mobile device or at their PC, is there any impact to the cost? So it depends. Some learning management systems are sold as all-encompassing suites, like an ExpertusONE. You get all the modules available to you. There's no impact on cost. Others will charge you for each module, like a module component. Now, as far as the device question, with a modern learning management system, natively built application, users can start at their desktop and finish the course later on their mobile device. So they can run it on a PC, they can run it through the app on a tablet, it won't matter. And you have a forecastable, predictable cost. So, those are things to take into consideration. If you have that learning suite with all the different components, it's not going to affect you at all.
Okay, thank you, Tom. One more question here. I'm not sure if I completely understand what this is asking, but let's see if we can figure it out. It says, is it best to use the same provider for both the LMS and e-learning design? So I'm guessing what that's saying is it best to use a same vendor for the LMS and the company that develops custom e-learning, maybe, or off-the-shelf e-learning? I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's how I'm reading it exactly. So this is I'm kind of a historian on learning management systems and e-learning here. And so what happened was, there was off-the-shelf providers that had large volumes and subscriptions of content, and then folks wanted to add their own personalized content for their business onto that. Well, it didn't work really well because it wasn't designed, to do that. Okay, and I always warn people too. There are some legacy systems out there that have authoring capabilities as well as run a learning management system. But look at this presentation, how fast things have changed. So if you need to go out and get resources to author some content for you, they may not be available unless you're on industry standard content authoring tools, right? So, the modern LMS will support, video, e-learning, SCORM, tin can, all of these kinds of things, all of these standards. But when you combine authoring into the learning management system, you can get a little bit murky there. I think that's what the question was, Gordon. I hope so. If not, shoot me an email and we'll get it clarified.
Okay. That's all the questions that we'll take, and so we'll end it up here at 15 till the hour. So I wanted to thank everybody along with Tom for joining us, being so attentive. I know some of this, when we get into the Excel spreadsheets, it gets a little bit challenging, certainly, to follow on a webinar. But if anybody wants any more additional information on how this works, what are some of the best practices, there are 10 different other ways that we've seen this done within companies. So please contact us, reach out, and let us know how we can help. We'd be happy to do so. So thanks again for Tom Bronikowski and for myself. Everybody have a great day.